Hi, good evening, traders. This is Krishna Joshi here with 7 Points Capital, and I'm going to bring you today's trader takeaways. Not a very high volume day today, pretty slow, maybe because Cats is out taking a leave today. So, a lot of volume dried up in the market. One of those slow days. Went out for a walk with the rest of the desk midday because it was that kind of a day, and not a lot of days am I usually stepping out of my desk. So today was one of those slow days. Uh, didn't really make any push in the PNL in the second half of the day. Everything came from the first half after the big sell-off in spies. So quickly looking at SPY, obviously at all-time highs in this, we broke 287 on the upside, and we did not stay there. In fact, that same day after hours, we had these news that are going on with Cohen, and it's still brewing. New things are coming out, like one or two piece of news coming out every day in the afternoon, midday, and today there was something else. So this sort of triggered a sell-off in the market, and so we opened pretty much flat from yesterday's close. After hours pre-market, nothing significant. We only did like 42 million shares on the day in SPY, which is pretty muted. Even though we are coming to the end of the earnings season, most of the companies have announced. Today we did have a few significant ones, which one of them was L Brands. We like trading the stock because it's been weak. One of the weakest retailers, haven't really seen any bounce in that, and Alibaba was the other one. So SPY, quick take on that was I ended up trying a short on this one around 10 o'clock. Um, Very small feeler position, goes down, comes right back up. Ended up taking a small loss on this. Now it feels extended, and now all of a sudden SPY starts selling off on news. And so I felt like it was a good time to buy around the pre-market lows, which was close to 286 area, and the low on the day, which was also 285.90. So I started buying 286, got in a quarter of my position, and it just kept selling off. Now I had 285.50 as my next support on this going back a few days. So I'm still thinking that as long as it's about 285.40, I still like it. And the good part was I did not have my full position yet. So now once it starts putting in another bottom, starts reversing in, goes below 85.50 and comes right back up, I'll start adding to my spies. And I added the other three-fourths of my position at 85.60, 85.70, and 75. So somewhere in here I add the other three-fourths of my position. Now I have a full size. I'm long SPY, and SPY start pulling back. So it wasn't really like the pullback, not really significant compared to the sell-off, but I did get a good exit out on this. So I started selling in the high 90s. So I had my orders out at 95, 97, 98 for half of it, and I took the other half just slightly above this. And once I saw this extended push, the wick not really touching VWAP, just failing to do that, ended up shorting 86 or 7, covering into the wash. So SPY wasn't my full size because the volume again not really significant, and I was trading SPY to give me a good direction on the market and help me trade my stocks better. So what I ended up doing was I was trading LB right off the open, uh, shorting the two 2960s, adding into the 50s as it makes new lows. So this reminded me of COTY, and the push in the pre-market, this did not hold. So the last push was in the 30 area, and we failed right off the open. We failed in that 30, and we started selling off. So COTY did a similar thing. So it opens down like 7%, 8%, and now the seller is just persistent, and he just pushes it down all the way. So what I did here was started building a short position in the 60s, added the 50s, and then I covered into the quick wash into the 29, 25, 22 area, right around here for a quick gain. It goes down further and gives me another push to add. I did not get the best price here. I ended up getting somewhere in the 20s, in the low 20s, right around here, and then it just kept selling off. And this ended up being a good winner on the day. and the next significant level that I found was 28. So we still kept pushing through below 28, and we see a nice wick. And I mentioned it reminds me of COTY is because we did a similar thing, and the level on COTY was 11. Look at this, gaps down like 7%, doesn't push into the pre-market resistance area, and instead keeps selling off. The second push, third push breaks through the 11, and we see a nice V bottom, and then it just starts shutting off. And I see a similar thing in LB today, and we see that bounce off of 28. And once that happens, now I'm starting to look at long setups. So I ended up buying 28.07, 28, 12s, 13s on the way up. And this ended up being a small winner though. I did take quickly into the 20, 28, 35, 40 area, and this quick one, first pop. I missed a lot of this one. But now I'm still waiting for those long setups, long tight setups, which gives me a good risk reward scenario. And I ended up testing this for a little bit, quickly in the money. And I'm thinking if I can still add more size, but it comes right back. Ended up being a scratch trade for me. But I'm still looking at long setups. And this is a 1 minute, so I'm looking at buying off of the 41s because 40 is a big bid. I'm buying, so I ended up buying some 41s. I ended up buying 31s here, and I'm risking 22 for all of it, which was just below this area. But I felt like it could dip into the 25, maybe try to do a little shake out, little wiggle, and then push back up, which exactly did as I was hoping it would. I knew where my out was. I knew where I was trying to get in. So I'm trying to put on a quarter position at 40, adding some at 30 on the way down. It goes up, comes back down, gives me a chance to add the other half. Now I have my full size and ended up taking into the high 40s. So this was one. I did end up missing out on this one. But what happened was now I'm still looking at long setups, right? So I'm looking at buying these 50s into these pops. I did take some of it. I couldn't actually exit out the other half. I did try to sell 62, 63 if I remember. I couldn't get an exit, and I stuck for the other half, which I took it for break even. And I still did not switch my bias to the short position, which is why I did not have any winning trades in the second half of the day. And all of my PNL pretty much came up until 1 o'clock, and then we just stepped out, took a walk, come back, and markets are just sideways to flat. SPY was in a chop for the second half of the day. The other significant one was Alibaba. I did miss out on a big short position. I was short in the 85s, just below 85. So I shorted 84.80s here, and then I'm risking 85.50. But this particular push into the 85.50 was really on strong volume, so it was actually wiping out levels, and because of that I'm now second guessing my exits. Firstly, because I have my full size on at 84.80, I'm out of money 60-70 cents, and I'm not used to risking about 60 cents. Even when I'm trading something like L brands, I'm risking 12, 15, 20 cents. So now I'm trying to second guess myself, and I'm thinking if this cup formation might actually turn out to be a long setup, and I ended up taking my short into the 85.40 area, ended up taking a 60-cent loss on it, only to see it go down a good 10 points. I was definitely not going to chase it here. Goes down as a bad trade, but this is the time around where you can see a similar setup in SPY, right? So SPY started buying around here on a similar situation where it bottoms out into the 85.50 that we saw on the SPY earlier. Quickly going to show you that. So right around here. So we put in a bottom in SPY at 11.40, and I'm long my full position in SPY like I mentioned earlier. Now I'm looking at long setups in BABA. So I ended up buying 74.50, 74.70 on the way up. Got a quick nice push into the 76.50. Ended up taking just before 76.50. Now it pulls back, and I actually ended up buying again 75.50, risking below 74.50 here. and gave me a good, nice little ad here because spies were really strong here because it did put in a temporary bottom. It was testing, getting close to VWAP, and we saw another leg of up move in Baba. So I ended up taking into the push into 77 again. So I did miss out on a big move. I did not chase, which I definitely feel okay about. I'm not really going to fret about missing out on a big trade because I was already short. I did know what I was getting out. I explained myself exactly the reasons why I'm getting out, and I don't regret missing out on this trade for that very reason. So, but did get a couple of long setups off of this. Now, did end up shorting 76.30 on the push down. Looks like spies were still sideways, but Baba was definitely weak. The Qs were looking weak, and we had a couple of short setups turning up in Baba. So I ended up shorting uh, 86, 76, 176.30 area, and comes right back up. So I ended up being a scratch trade for me. And the next entry I had was on the shakeout of 76. So I ended up shorting 75.90s. Got a nice quick point on this. Uh, just kept just kept drifting down to 74 area, and then gave me another setup for a quick. I did not really hold all the way till the bottom because we were getting to the day lows, so I ended up covering the 73.30 area. Um, so couple of long setups here which worked out fine, a couple of short setups that worked out fine. So it was important for me to realize that Baba did have a big range on the day, and there were instances, there were setups where I could have made multiple R's on it, and that is what I should have focused on, like staying in, not getting shaken out, being comfortable with it. But the moment I felt like I was not comfortable with it, I was not regretting getting out of it. So Baba ended up being a small winner on the day, not really significant. It's trading a lot of QD as well. QD announces earnings, another Chinese name announces earnings tomorrow. Alibaba is a big client, and they are breaking up the tie-up or partnership that they have with QD. So that's a big hit on a small company like this, which is definitely weak since the IPO. Look at this, pretty much down 80% since its listing. And when you have a significant client which generates a lot of revenue for you, uh, the stock opened down weak. And this was the opposite of LB, where the stock did not make a move down into the support. In fact, held the 675 area and then ended up buying it off of 680, gave me another good add into the 7 area for a nice little pop, nice continuation. So it's the stock is SSR. The stock has small volume, but definitely I spotted a seller at the mid routes. So I'm buying with at the midpoints, and it just wipes offer. So let's say if there's 200 shares on the bid and the ask, and if I buy 400 shares now, the offer is just getting wiped out because of a 400 share print at the midpoint, and then the offer is getting taken out, and so is the next offer, which is why you see these big green pops. So definitely, I felt like there was a VWAP buyer where any amount of significant volume being traded was resulting in the offer being bought out. So if there's 500 shares on the bid and the offer, if I'm buying a significant amount, let's say 5,000 shares, now there's a lot of catching up to do for these VWAP algos running in the market, and that kind of kept pushing up the stock into the 720. So I ended up taking somewhere in here. So this is a stock where I'm still looking at long setups. Um, did end up buying some of it here, took for a quick gain into the 720 because of the previous day highs and also into the pre-market highs. So missed a little bit of this, but now again I'm long biased like I was in LB. Stock comes back into my buy area, end up buying the sevens, goes up, end up taking a small loss on it as it comes back. And similarly, I kept trying a lot of long setups, did not end up working out for me. But I kept taking small losers in it. But the problem here was I was taking too many long setups. I was taking one, two, three, four long setups for me in QD, and all of these I couldn't really exit for a gain here. And it felt like 7 was going to hold, and so was 690. And once that broke through the 685s, I just left. I had to just leave it alone. So I ended up taking small losers on this. Not a real big hit on QD, But nonetheless, they announce earnings tomorrow. The stock is SSR. I'm going to be watching it pretty closely. I did spot a lot of buying here because, as you can see, it traded much higher than the pre-market lows of 620. So at least 10% higher than the lows that it saw. So I'm going to keep an eye on QD tomorrow. It announces earnings pre-market and quite a few interesting ones. Big tech names announcing, which is INTU, VEEV after hours, which are moving big, uh, INTU and SPLK. These are some of the names that we've been focused on, and we've either seeing 10% gap up or gap down in 3 or 4 of these names. So we're gonna watch out these stocks tomorrow. They're gonna be on my watch list for tomorrow. So thanks again for watching, guys. Feel free to shoot us any questions, and feel free to share with your friends, and keep liking and subscribing to our videos. Thanks again, guys. This is Krishna Joshi with 7 Points Capital.